Hey guys, welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Ash Paulson and Derrick Bittner to discuss all the latest Nintendo news again. So, let's get started. Alright guys, it's been 36 hours since Nintendo dropped some major bombs. And I thought it might be good to, first off, revisit this, because we recorded our original discussion like right after the news dropped. And so you got our raw reaction out there, but we've had some time to process this now. A few more details have since come out about this. And on top of it all, Derrick wasn't around for the previous discussion because he was sleeping. So,
which is the cause of this whole thing, by the way.
Yeah. I have not actually had a chance to watch you guys' previous discussion on this, so I don't know exactly what you guys felt on this, but I tweeted this out when I woke up the next day, and I was going through Twitter, like, all that, and then saw you guys' Skype discussion about everything going on, and I'm like, holy crap, did I just sleep through the apocalypse or something?
Basically.
You almost did.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So Derrick, what is your take on this? From just everything in general?
Just everything. I tweeted a little bit about this, when it first happened, because got to get my opinion out there somehow. Can't join the discussion when I'm asleep.
Well, yes, you woke up to this, so
yes, I woke up to this and seeing people's reactions, and I honestly, NX coming out March 2017. After ruminating on it a bit, it's sort of not that big of a deal, I think. Yeah, they're missing that holiday season, but it's still coming out at a certain point, and I've heard the reason why it's coming out in March 2017. They want more time to have the games ready,
right?
Which you can't fault them for that. That's a sound decision, despite, if they had any way of hitting the holidays, they would, but it just doesn't seem like it's actually possible in this case. The bigger issue to me, at least that I'm having issues, at least the problems I have, is what appears to be an extremely bare bones E3. And, it's fine that you want to show off Zelda and have Zelda be your primary focus, but to have it potentially be your only playable game, like, I think that's confirmed, but I'm not sure if it's like they're going to sneak in any others, as they might do, just to be a surprise or anything like that, but I'm not expecting anything like that. But even still, if it is just Zelda, that feels like a huge mistake, because Zelda doesn't come out until March as well. There's nothing for the holidays. We got Pokemon, but let us try out Pokemon. This is a brand new generation. Let us see what that's all about. Let people play Color Splash. Convince people that this is a good follow-up and not, Sticker Star.
Right.
It really does. My biggest issue from all this Nintendo news is that it feels like Nintendo is throwing the Wii U under the bus for 2016. It's like, well, we can't do anything with you yet. We have nothing left, so bye.
It is kind of funny how Nintendo's mantra changes year to year. Like in years past, like last year, I believe, they were focused purely on what's happening that year. Whereas this year, they're focusing on a title coming out next year, and pretty much only on that title, at least in terms of playable games. Though they probably will be showing off other stuff, in their direct. What's weird is, after the Wii U, you would think Nintendo would be razor-focused or laser-focused on how they want to present their branding. And it's so weird that they're showing a launch title for the NX on older hardware, being the Wii U now. I mean, I feel like that's already sending mixed messaging, and we haven't even gone to what the NX is. So
yeah, and well, we just found out that Kimishima just confirmed that there are more first-party 3DS games in development,
that's
but
true.
he didn't even talk about the Wii U. He didn't even mention it. So that's even more insult to injury when you consider the fact that not only do they seem to really continue to be throwing the Wii U under the bus, but also we know they have these 3DS games in development now that they're not going to show us at E3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's again, like, why? Why dedicate your entire E3 to a past generation version of your upcoming NX launch title? Even though it is going to be a Wii U game, yeah, but it doesn't add up.
It almost feels like they're doing it. I mean, it's almost like an early advertisement for the NX, only minus the NX portion, which is so bizarre to me.
Yeah.
But it is like they're only looking forward to this point. It really does seem like, as Derrick said, they're throwing the Wii U under the bus. And even though they are showing Zelda on the Wii U, it does feel like the lead up to the NX. But again, it just sends that mixed messaging. Like, why are you focusing on the Wii U one? I mean, we know why they have to, but they don't want to show off the NX yet. But it's just very confusing. It's very weird in how they're handling E3 this year.
But going off that point, it's like, why aren't they showing off the NX at E3?
That's the thing.
Mind-boggling. Yeah, I understand when to do your own presentation and when to do your, have control, but before this news came out, we were talking about, oh man, what if they do an NX, actually bring back an actual conference for this E3 to properly show off.
I love how they completely shot down that
NX.
argument.
Yeah, it's like we were like, oh no, if they do that, we're going to completely miss it because we got to do our usual thing where we
cover it live. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
oh crap, we can't do that anymore. We'll miss out on this big presentation. That's going to suck. Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
And it's. When do you think they will show off the NX? Because they got to do it at some point. They're talking about it.
They did say before the end of the year. So
So
kudos-
what? They're going to wait till November and like, okay, it comes out in 4 months. Enjoy, guys.
My guess would be, I'm thinking 6 months out. So I'm thinking September-ish.
That's kind of what I'm thinking
Yeah,
too.
I think that's when we'll hear about it. But getting back to your point about E3, it is weird. It's very weird. It almost seems like it suggests a lack of confidence on Nintendo's behalf. Maybe they are perhaps concerned about being overshadowed by what we now know is as we now know it, the PS4 Neo, or 4K if you prefer, as well as what might be a new Xbox, and then of course also the VR train, which I do have to say, after going based off GDC, does seem to be like that might suggest a huge focus of it at E3 as well. So it might be Nintendo's trying to avoid all that. At the same time, if you bring big enough news, it won't matter. Like, that can overshadow that. So it does maybe suggest just maybe the NX, Nintendo isn't confident enough in it to overcome all that. And it still may be cool by itself. Maybe it's not like a paradigm shift, like the Wii was when it released. And to be fair, it probably isn't.
Or, maybe it is, and they want to dominate the airwaves. I mean, they have kind of gotten used to the idea of having, their audience completely to themselves with Nintendo Directs. But I think they're going to have to go a little bigger than Directs this time with the NX reveal, because Directs really only appeal to people who are already Nintendo fans. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to reach out beyond that for their big NX launch event, I think, to really get, kind of draw other people into the fold and not just, again, talk to the audience they already have.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part, but I mean, the thing is, I'm not expecting like only Zelda at E3. I still think there's going to be other games there. They're just not going to be playable. They're going to show off more of Pokemon Sun and Moon. They're going to show off more of whatever else they have coming down the pipeline, probably Color Splash and whatnot. We just won't be able to play it, which I guess I kind of get. Allow them more focus on the development time, not have to worry about an E3 demo, but I don't know. It just feels odd, especially the last few years. Like, yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot coming out last year, but there was still plenty to play.
Yeah, it is interesting that Nintendo was very specific in how they said Zelda would be the only playable game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pokemon has a little corner like they usually do with like a demo reel playing video of the game. Mm-hmm. They may have a few other smaller things like that. And it's possible in the press area, because Nintendo always has like a separate booth for press where you can have we can make reservations, or not reservations, I guess, but like an appointment.
Yeah.
And it's possible to have a few more games there. But by and large, the setup they have there does mirror what's actually on the show floor. It's just easier to get to. So I do think Zelda, that is going to be their focus. And it is interesting, like they did specify that they want to do it for maximum immersion, which is a weird way of putting it. Because,
it's hard to get immersed at E3.
It really is.
If they want to do exactly, it is. And if they want to do maximum immersion, they actually need to go back to what they did for the GameCube launch in 2001 E3, which was pretty cool. What they did, where they had these little almost like these little small rooms you would enter, like these.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that, right? And you would walk in, you'd have this massive projector or massive screen, like I can't remember. It was like probably 5 feet wide. Even the GameCube games, even though they ran at low resolution, it looked awesome on that screen. And so you were in this dark room, this surround sound system around you. You were just fully immersed in the game, and that was great. I don't think they're going to do that for Zelda. What I do think they might be doing is making the area around Zelda like really immersive. Like, they've had, like last year, they had the like little Mario Maker section, right? And they have all those props and characters, and
that's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking they're gonna go all out in that regard and just make it almost like a little Zelda theme park.
But the thing is, what if? We've gotten to the point where people have gotten not tired of 3D Zelda, but definitely where 3D Zelda has gotten kind of rote and people know what to expect from it. What if it isn't the paradigm shift that they've been claiming it is? Like, even for a long time, they were saying Skyward Sword is going to completely change how we think of 3D Zelda, and it didn't. It was still a great game, but it didn't change 3D Zelda from the ground up. Now they're saying that this game will, and if it doesn't, what if people are kind of like lukewarm on it, and that's their entire E3 presence? So that gamble kind of backfires.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, they're in trouble if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that the new Zelda is going to be a great game. I think it very likely will be awesome, but it may end up being just quote unquote just another 3D Zelda. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm down on 3D Zelda. I'm just saying, it might be another game that kind of shows what we've come to expect from what 3D Zelda is now.
Well, so the main thing that they need to focus on in this case is they need to come up with a demo that shows what makes this game distinct. Yeah. I don't think they can do the typical thing where they have like 3 sections, like one's a dungeon that you go through. Like, they really need to showcase what makes this game special. And at this point, we don't really know what that is beyond the just the massive world, which maybe that is it. Maybe that is the main thing.
I have a feeling that might be it. Is just let people play for maybe 15 minutes, maybe half hour, who knows how long. If it's only that, Nintendo typically has a pretty large space, and if they can just line that with Zelda units, you could allow for longer demos. And sort of what they did with Smash 2 years back, except of course you get multiple people in there to help the lines move across quicker. But I think a larger demo where you can explore a section of Hyrule and really see how open it is and how you can maybe find like mini dungeons or whoever else. The thing is, I'm still excited for Nintendo's E3 because we know next to nothing about Zelda Wii U.
Someone hasn't been watching my analysis videos.
Okay, we don't know anything concrete beyond Andre's conjecture,
which
I do think are quite accurate, to be honest. But I still want more details. More stuff that we can analyze.
Especially with the fact, given the recent delay, where they straight up said we discovered something new we wanted to do with the game, and who knows what they mean by that. So I'm very curious to see like what form this game ends up taking.
Well, we do at least know now. I think we'd already kind of assumed this, but we do at least know now, thanks to Nintendo of America's press site, that Zelda is scheduled for a March 2017 launch. So
that's right.
So it is considered to be an NX launch title, which is exactly what happened with Twilight Princess, which is kind of what we've been saying for quite a while now.
Yeah, I mean, It's funny is we almost didn't even touch on that in our, like, we weren't surprised by that news at all in our previous discussion. We expected that. The real surprise here was the fact that it was pushed to next year along with the NX launch. And what's funny is I've seen some people out there claiming or saying, I totally called the NX isn't coming out this year. Of course, like, you're an idiot if you thought otherwise.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that's not impressive unless you also call the fact that Zelda Wii U was going to be delayed. Unless you call those two in tandem, then that's not an impressive argument.
Yeah. Don't you know? Everyone knew everything was already going to happen. If you didn't know it, then you're an idiot. Come on. It's so obvious in hindsight.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
I mean, as many people have mentioned, that now that with this news, Wii U is the only Nintendo console not to have a dedicated Zelda game on it. Every one of the Zelda games that came out on Wii U is available on another system. Doesn't mean they're any less great, but it is an interesting distinction for the Wii U.
It does. I mean, ultimately it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still getting the game. NX is getting the game. It's good for everyone. But it does kind of like cast another cloud or shadow over the Wii U's legacy, which I don't think is much of one. I don't think many people are going to remember the Wii U, a decade from now. It had a couple of standout games and that shit. Like, to me already, when I look back on its library, it had a lot of decent stuff. Few truly outstanding titles, in my opinion.
That might be glossing over it a little bit.
I don't think so.
Yeah, a few decent titles. I mean,
I think there's some
Wii U,
truly great titles.
I said a lot of decent titles.
Okay, a lot of decent titles.
A lot of decent titles, a few outstanding ones.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's still maybe passing it off.
Well, this is okay. This is
but
that's
another discussion.
I don't think that's underselling it at all. But
right.
I think I'm being generous, even.
I don't think. I think you're being. Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Well, that'd be a great discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Once we finally do see the NX and have that coming out, we could do a legacy of the Wii U discussion.
Indeed.
One thing that my thoughts really haven't changed too much in the past 36 hours or so. I mean, like we talked about, Andre, I think it's a disaster in the short term and not that big a deal in the long term. I think once the NX is out, this will not be as big a deal as it seems like it is now. But something I do want to bring up is the fact that, there are a lot of major publishers this year not going to E3, and the fact that Nintendo's only showing one game in E3, I mean, yeah, it doesn't inspire confidence in what they're up to right now, but it also may be a sign of E3's overall significance decreasing more than it just is Nintendo scrambling. Because, I mean, like, Activision's not going to have a booth at E3 this year. Activision.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. And same thing, Disney Interactive. They're not even coming at all. So, E3 itself is changing, too. Like, it isn't quite the super essential, annual gala it once was.
Well, yeah, because everything's online now. People, most companies don't really need that E3 boost anymore. They can just put out their stuff, and news sites will report on it. People get an idea of it. Maybe not reach as many people, but maybe E3 is just not having the reach that it once did. It's hard. I don't know the stats on that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This is kind of, it's a little bit unprecedented with unveiling a brand new platform outside of E3. So it will be interesting to see how it shakes out. But we already know, just by being at E3, it doesn't guarantee success. Look at the Wii U. That has been anything but.
Well, and it's also not that unprecedented. I mean, PS4 got its own dedicated reveal event.
More specifically, it had a presence at E3 before it launched.
Sure.
So that as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first time a system, as far as like a major system in recent memory, has launched without being at E3 in any form.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll do a thing like, I mean, we were talking about how the GameCube was shown off. If you remember, the GameCube was also, they did like a nationwide tour. And they might have done it might have been worldwide too, but they did a nationwide tour with the GameCube where they would actually set up in various locations around the country and invite people to come check out the GameCube. The lines were unbelievably long, but it was worth it because you got to go and check out all these games like Smash Brothers Melee and,
Was it though?
Luigi's Mansion.
Was it worth it? I mean, it was awesome as a fan. Sales-wise, that was the worst performing console before.
Well, that's true. I mean, it was worth it. It was worth it if you're a gamer who's interested in the GameCube. But that's true.
Yeah.
Sales-wise, it didn't seem to really make a difference. So, yeah, I mean that may not be something that they find to be worth doing. But if the NX really is a game changer and it's not just a traditional console, then they almost seems like they'll have to, because they can't. The one thing they cannot do is risk any sort of consumer confusion, any sort of bad messaging from them to the consumer. They cannot make that mistake again. That's what killed the Wii U early on.
And that's a weird thing with presenting Zelda, a launch title for the NX, on the Wii U still. I mean, I would assume that that's going to be their biggest NX launch title. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm assuming it is. So it's weird that they're already having this mixed messaging by presenting Zelda on an older, arguably dead platform.
Maybe they back themselves into a corner because if they don't show that, I mean, they can't anchor an entire show around Paper Mario Color Splash, and if that's the only other Wii U game they really have left, then maybe they were like, well, it's not a great solution, but what else can we do? Like, really?
I have a prediction, and I kind of touched on this in our past discussion. Nintendo said they won't be unveiling the NX at E3. I think there will still be they will reference it in some way, I think. Whether it's revealing the name, I think they actually might reveal the name even. Here's why. I think they want to reveal the name, and that way when they are showing Zelda on the show floor or in the presentation or whatever, they'll be like, here's Zelda, we're playing on the Wii U, but it's also going to be available on a new console with further details coming, later on this year. Like, I think they want that messaging out there. Like, I think they have to get that messaging out there. And I don't think they can keep calling it the NX forever. Unless it actually is its final name. So I think they will almost definitely mention the NX in some form, or more, give us a little more details about it, despite what they've said so far during their presentation at E3. That way, at least they can be saying, you're playing on the Wii U, but it's coming to this. And
but how many times have we sat here and said they have to do this,
and they don't,
and they don't.
I'm just looking forward to the fact that I can stop calling it Zelda Wii U or Zelda NX or whatever hopefully after this E3, get an official name for this bad boy.
I still think I think that we are onto something about the subtitle possibly having to do with that book Link is wearing, because that book.
It is still front and center.
It stands out so much in that art,
Oh, yeah, absolutely does. Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, that book is going to be a huge portion of the game. Like I don't know. If looking at the artwork, even maybe this could be its own thing, but looking at the artwork, it looks like it has. It looks like it almost has a terminal or something you can use to like latch onto things. Like on the end. I don't know if you noticed that. It almost looks like a bottle opener. So I wonder if that's like the interface, like if you plug it into things, and that's where the gamepad comes in, maybe whatever the NX uses. Where
it could be. I'm definitely getting a vibe of like just like kind of forgotten technology, kind of almost like the Linear Desert and Skyward Sword. How you have the time shift stones. I'm kind of getting almost like a design vibe from that.
Well, I mentioned that in the analysis because that blue energy looks just like it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
we
we've
talked
seen
about that.
that robot creature running around the overworld too, or that ancient thing.
Well, it's interesting how the primary colors for Link seems to be blue and red.
Yeah.
Like mainly because you see it on the book, you see it on his arrow. There's no green. And honestly, I'm so used to Link in this outfit, I kind of don't want his traditional outfit to be in the game, or at least not until the very end, because I like this look. I think it's
How badass would that be if, like, instead of playing most of the game as the green tunic Link, that's something you only get at the end. It's like this is it's on now. This is when it's happening.
That would be really cool.
He finally became, like, that's his coming of age moment, right? This is when it's happening. So
it kind of reminds me of like adult Link, or at least like teenage Link wearing Wind Waker Link's pajamas. Because Wind Waker Link has that blue shirt as part of his pajamas, and it kind of reminds me of that. It's the same blue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, because of the symbol in the book, we're definitely going to have some sort of Sheikah connection here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that, instead of an instrument this time, how about a book? And interacting as our main tool.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we got to wrap it up pretty soon. There's one other thing I wanted to touch on real quick, getting back to what we mentioned earlier with the timing of E3. And although I mentioned the potential lack of confidence earlier, that may not be the only reason. And because here's a weird thing, even though the delay, or I keep calling it a delay, because a lot of people expected this year. Who knows what it is? I'm going to call it a delay, just because it works for me. This is a delay of 4 months from when people expected the NX. Ultimately not a big deal, but that still pushes out almost a year from now, which seems like a long time. And that actually might be why it's not showing at E3, because even from E3, that's 9 months out. And that is kind of a long time now. Like, I mean, the Wii U was announced, 18 months early. And even though 9 months is really short compared to that, it might still be too long for Nintendo. Which is why I think they may be sticking closer to the 6 months or even smaller window I mentioned. Especially given Iwata's comments from, I think, a year or two ago, where he mentioned something along the lines of not wanting... I think he referenced the Wii U, that they announced that too early, and they wanted to surprise people.
Yeah.
And I think 9 months might be pushing that limit. So I think they are operating on a different timetable now, more along the lines of what we touched on before with the PS4, I think, which was announced 6 months out at E3, wasn't it, or something like that?
A little bit before that.
Yeah.
A little bit before then, but yeah. So.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, as usual, I think it's best to try to take as temperate a position with these kinds of things as possible, because it does look disastrous to us, and I think our opinions do matter, but at the same time we're not privy to the inner workings of Nintendo's business strategies. We don't know what they have planned. So as you said, it does make a certain degree of sense, Andre, for them not to show it off if they really don't think it's ready, because they don't want to jump the gun with this. That's paramount. They do not want to jump the gun with the NX like they did with the Wii U, and if that means not showing it off at E3, it doesn't make sense to us and to the public, but it might make sense internally for them. So I do think it's best not to take a hard line like this is a disaster and that's all it is. Like it may really make sense in terms of their internal corporate culture.
It might. The surprising thing here is just how there's nothing this year.
That's the main thing. Is what really, again, it makes less sense to me not to show off more things at the booth that aren't the NX. Yeah. More than it does not having the NX there, because the NX might need more time before it's ready to be unveiled, and I get that, but then don't come to E3 with only one game. But again, maybe this is just a sign of Nintendo's overall reduced focus on E3. Maybe they really don't think it's that important.
Or maybe it's the fact that they think it's not important for the rest of their games this year. Like maybe, again, kind of get back to the branding thing. Maybe they just want all the focus literally on Zelda, so there's no confusion about what's coming to the NX as well. Like maybe they don't want anyone to see Color Splash and be like, that's not that exciting for an upcoming title, and maybe they don't want to confuse it for a potential NX title. Who knows? But it seems clear at this point they're razor focused on obviously Zelda, and I think by extension the NX, even if they haven't explicitly said that. So
right. Well, this is something I think I mentioned to you after our discussion, or our initial discussion, but I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Maybe not that bold at this point, but I'm going to say that along with Paper Mario Color Splash, I'm going to say I would almost put money on Skyward Sword HD being a flagship release for the Wii U this holiday.
That's a great point.
I feel like it almost has to happen.
And the HD port of Skyward Sword would probably work best on Wii U since it still supports the controllers, and we don't think that's going to be a thing for the NX. So it would make sense, and I'd be down for it.
The only odd thing is that they mentioned, as Ash mentioned, they mentioned new 3DS games coming, new unannounced 3DS games coming. Nothing about the Wii U, though.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't think Skyward Sword would be coming until late this year, and maybe they don't want to add fuel to the fire by saying, "Oh, but we do have one more Wii U game, and that's an HD remaster." So
no, actually, you're absolutely right. It's best not to raise hype in this case, because if they do, I think people will be disappointed by Skyward Sword as a remake. But as a surprise, I think that will be awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, and they even talked about the fact that Wind Waker HD, they were like, well, this is a great way for us to fill out the Wii U's library without having to take too long of a development cycle because it is an HD remaster. Right. So, in this case, because they desperately need more Wii U games, just for people who have the system, to stem the tide until the NX, Skyward Sword HD makes too much sense.
It does.
Plus, it is 25th anniversary, so it makes sense to put out more Zelda titles for the 25th. Or is it 25th or 30th?
30th, I think. Yeah.
30th. Sorry, I don't know why I said 25th. 30th anniversary. So.
And maybe maybe they'll really, if they really feel like they need more Wii U software, maybe they'll even dip into the Mario Galaxy titles and do like an HD remaster of those. I mean, it seems like at this point they're going to kind of have to do something along those lines, just because it is really kind of crappy for Wii U owners. Let's just say Paper Mario Color Splash really is it. From now, Star Fox Zero just came out. From now to March 2017, Paper Mario Color Splash being the only first-party Wii U title, that's impossible. That can't be true.
We do have Tokyo Mirage sessions.
No, I said first party. I meant first party, but
okay.
That's it.
I'm not sure if that's first party or not. So
let's include. So Tokyo Mirage Sessions and Paper Mario between now and March 2017.
Don't forget the all-time AAA Ultra Smash title, Mario Sonic at the Olympic Games.
There's that too. Okay, so we're 3. Okay, so I forgot a couple. That's true. So we have 3 games now.
But I think that's it.
Your point stands. There's not much, very little that's big.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think they do have to have at least one more Wii U announcement at E3. We'll see. And I
don't even know if it'll be at E3. I just think it would be weird it would stand out if they had Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and then didn't do Skyward Sword, especially in the face of this software drought.
Yeah. Well, savior of the Wii U, Mother 3.
Yeah, right. Although it does, if that's really how this is going, it makes complete sense why they didn't use Mother 3's 10th anniversary to announce Mother 3 for the US, just because they probably are needing some good news at E3 to really kind of hold them over.
They need to save it all, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, any final thoughts, guys? Any quick thoughts before we wrap it up here?
I don't think so. I think I covered it.
I mean, the only major problem I have with this situation is the lack of content. Otherwise, I'm willing to remain interested to see how Nintendo pulls this off.
Sure. That's your usually diplomatic self. But what was your gut reaction yesterday, Derrick?
Oh, my gut reaction? Oh my god, what the hell are they doing? Are they idiots? That was my initial gut reaction. I was like, what the hell are they doing? Are they insane?
Right.
But no, once, calm down, breathe, look at it, get a reasoned answer. It's like, okay, they might have an idea here. I hope they have an idea of what they're doing. If they don't, boy, are we screwed.
I feel like at this point, Mighty Number 9 is going to end up being the last game ever to be released for the Wii U.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's probably the case, actually.
Yeah, when it should have been one of the middle generation Wii U games. I think it's going to end up being one of the last.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, I think that about wraps up for us here, guys. So thanks for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameExplain. You can find links to them in the description below, which is a good way to keep up to date on everything we post. And of course, keep an eye on GameExplain for more on Zelda, more on the NX, more on everything from E3, which is just Zelda, and other things coming as well. Catch you guys later. Bye.